There we go, good to go. Us, onegaishimasu. Just working on the vertical. Into the back. Okay, it's like the side. Into rotation. And to the wave. Yeah. Okay, just do these swings. So just starting first down with the hands. Okay, good. Into the hips. And then twisting it with the arms. Do this one both ways. Change direction. Okay, just a little bit of 𝒂𝒂𝒏𝒕, so just working here with the 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄, roll into the back, coming here. We're just cycling between left side, right side, pressing through the whole body. Okay. So you get, see, I'll show with this because it makes it a bit more obvious. So you can get this kind of elastic feeling with the hip. So what you've got is the distance between the hand and the hip is changing. So you've got from this position to that position, that movement's coming out. Now, if I just pass through it like something there, there's nothing really elastic about it. It's just kind of moving in the space. But get a sense that that connection is actually opening and expanding. So it's much more about what the hip's doing and how it's expressing it into the hand. So get the sense that that movement's actually elastic. So all the connections in the in the body are kind of elastic like this. So also between the two hands, what I don't want to do is like something like that, like just past the hands, but really something kind of elastic between them. That's why I like training with resistance bands or elastic bands, because they give you really a sense that the body needs to work in a kind of flexible state. What I can't do in an elastic band is something like, it's really weak. So what I need to do is something kind of gradual. So it's kind of rolling into it. Rolling into it. So just feel that that whole movement is part of it. It's like raising the sword. You don't do it kind of this way. You do it really kind of this way. So this doesn't look like sword work, but it's got the same quality in the body. Just play a little bit like this. If you've got a band or a belt, you can also use it just for feedback on the body. The main connection is the hips. Hip to hand, hip to hand. That's the main one we're kind of just explore a little bit. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, good, Nick. That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's it. Great. And we go to the second one, just going into rotation. So the foot that's forward, you're just going to rotate, spin off it, and you're going to come into a 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄 position. So normally you kind of come into tiny handcuff, but just in this case, just roll through it. Just roll into the 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄. Change the feet. Roll in. Change the feet. Just give yourself time in a neutral position, so you're quite neutral. As if, like when you extend the hands in inviting for a grip, and then just coil into it. Coil into it here. And lower them. Just watch out for the hips. Hip-hand connection. Something really elastic. Like that. That's it. That's it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and in this case, you can also put the bands in the back as well. So what this does is really emphasize what's happening with the elbows in the back now. This one especially, because as I go back, the tendency is to lose the back and then press the body forward. But try and get the feeling that as you go in, you're actually pressing into the back. So as you go, what's happening is pressing through the structure of the back. And then as you go, that's pressing out. So you've got this happening. So you're doing the same thing as you did before this, but the dynamic's a bit different because you're rolling into it backwards. So you've got now this kind of quality. Now, if I let that happen in the back, it will just swing the body to the back. So I need to meet it with the koku forward. There. So just get a feeling now, much more feeling in the back, and that the back's actually pressing into the space. Yeah. You can also play with different koku work as well. They're all based on the same kind of feeling. You just feel that the back's kind of wide and that you're pressing into the space. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Very nice. And feel free as well, you don't have to always go to 180 degrees. So you can play around with the angle. If you take it a bit narrow, it makes it a bit easier. 180 is just to give you 180 just makes it kind of hard. So useful to do, but if you're experimenting with it, you can also change the angle. That's it. There we go. Use the back. Good. There we go. Good. And then just to play with this one, what you can do now is you go into the rotation, and then you can either step back with it or step forward. Just continue with it. So use the space, roll around the space a little bit this way. So you can go back with it, or you can go forward with it, coming into it. So just roll through it, press through, roll through it, roll back. You're just really paying attention again to the hip work. You're trying to really express the hands, express the hip work through the hands. You feel if there's a difference between going forwards and back. Nice. Good, and then just kind of coming into Rumi Tenkan, so you're going to now step in, roll through and find the back. And then you can just change it. Again, use the space a little bit, rolling the body in, finding the ground. Rolling the body in, finding the ground. And just looking at the quality of the connection between the ground, and the hips, and the hands. Nice. So explore one idea in this case, and this is to really get this idea of going down to the ground or working through the ground when you do it. So the big problem with this Arumi Tengen is if you make the rotation, you just spin out of the ground and spin up to the top. So in this case, what I want you to imagine is someone coming in to the body, and I'm going to wedge myself in, take the body with the shoulders, just grab whatever you can, and then I'm just going to twist down with the body into this position. So using the same idea, but what you're doing is really manipulating our body. So I need to be really grounded. So as you do it, you go in, use the hands, and then what you're doing is now rolling the hip. And really exaggerate the first few. Obviously, you can get away later with something quite subtle, but in this case, just roll in. Imagine you're grabbing someone's shoulders or jacket or whatever, and you just roll the hips down into this and down into the ground. So you roll in, roll, and fall through. You're throwing kind of at your feet. Just play with it. Also good to get the lower body working as well. So that's it. Yeah. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Again, it's really about the hips and the hands up. This way, it's not really about pulling, because what you're doing is you're making a connection, and then I'm moving the hip. So really feel that you establish the connection here, and then the hips here, and then the hip does this. The hip drops them down. So it's not that the arms are pulling down, and it's not also that the arms are kind of just wheeling over, like something like this. It's something a bit, again, it's much more flexible. So you've got this connection, and then this connection changes, but it doesn't kind of pull in. It just folds in. And what you're using is kokyu. This, but you're doing it with a grab now. But just imagine that you've got the connection here, that, and then hip comes in. So just feel that, and it's a really dense kind of connection. I don't want something that's kind of throwaway. What I want is something really heavy. This. It should feel really quite effective. Imagine you're doing it with a big bag of potatoes, so like a 10 kilo, 20 kilo bag of potatoes. You've got something very heavy. I can't kind of just toss it away. This will really break the back. So I want to really get with it, with the hip. Drop it down. And the down is just as important because you've still got weight in the body. So there's a big risk you can get drawn out with the spine. Just watch the. That's it. Just watch that lower position. So you want to be really stable at the end. Boom. Yeah. That's it. It's why Aikido is not really weightlifting, because what you don't need to do is lift the potato bag up. So I don't need to do something like this, and then this is really not where Aikido works best. So all you do is just tip the potato bag. So you tip it out of balance. Imagine you've got a big sack of potatoes, like human height. So as you come in, all I need to do is tip more potatoes over the base than it can handle. So just imagine you've got a big sack. You tip it over, tip it over, tip it over, and then I just continue it. Tip it, tip it, tip it. It's actually very easy, but we make things really difficult. But obviously I need a structure behind it, but just get this feeling you're just tipping something. So you go in, tip, tip, tip it down. Tip, 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 tip. And that tipping's done really with the hips. That's why you can't really resist it, because it's not really the arms doing it. You just connect to the bag or the person, and then you will use the whole body. Just play with it. Tipping a sack of potatoes. That's it. Yeah. 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 Good. Okay, good. Now you've got to imagine the potato sack has arms like this. It's got arms now. So what we do in Aikido generally is we use the levers of the arms to use the body. Or we do a lot of the techniques start here. Later we go to Koshinagis and all these kind of things. But the next step we go to is basically tipping out the arm. So just imagine as you come in now, this action is rather than coming in and taking, you're going to go in, create an arc through the arm. So you have to imagine the potato arm's got arms and it's going to protect itself like this. So as you go in, what you're doing now is rolling up through the body here, and then let the whole structure again tip through. Now I've got the arm as a lever, so I don't need to come all the way to the ground in this part. So just imagine you're just again tipping it out as it comes in. Keep this extension, keep this arc, this, and then this the hip again. Hip, hip, hip. And you just come to this position. You just play with it. You go in, around, and then find this position. In, around, in, around. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Nice. Yeah. Something we don't usually talk about so much in Ikkyo is what I'm doing with my arms. So we tend to talk a lot about where I'm gripping and all this kind of stuff, but what you're actually doing with the hands is like splitting. So I've got the arm between, the band is representing my arm. What I'm doing is splitting the body away from itself within the arm, within the structure of the arm. So I'm not trying to pull it straight and kind of press it down to, but I'm trying to stretch that whole joint out. So if I do this, I'm basically, if this hand's here, you've got this hand working this way and this hand working that way. So you've got this kind of action. And it's kind of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄 work. So this circle is also elastic. So it's not in a case like that. This is really robotic, but it's got a case of this, and then into it. And just play with this kind of connection between the hands. And this connection is constantly flexible, but it never gets to a position where it's just kind of stuck. Because think about the hips as well. The hips are constantly shifting position. Opening, closing, or spreading, however you want to think about it. This. And if you ever get confused with the handwork, just go to the hips. What are my hips doing? And how do I work the hands in unison with the hips? That's it. That's it. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Okay, and then this is a bit of technique, it's probably quite hard to show, but just what it says, try not to do this with the arms in this kind of position. This is really exaggerated, but if I do something like that, then I'm basically, I'm really going to force the 𝒂𝒂. What it might work as an 𝒂𝒂, because if I can do that with kind of any kind of pressure, I'll go against the elbow and I'll kind of press into it. So there is a kind of old 𝒂𝒂 technique where you kind of do that, where you're kind of pressing into it and pulling the arm straight, and then I'm pressing down into the elbow, with the elbow in this position. But that really needs a special kind of movement because I need to stretch the arm out fully, straight, and then work against the elbow. This is a kind of an older jiu-jitsu technique. So when we're doing 𝒂𝒂, what you want is this kind of arc through it. And then as I go down, I want to keep that kind of arc in the arm. Because what I've got to think is the 𝒂𝒂 might fail. So if it does, I need to go into an 𝒂𝒂 or something else. So know that that hand, although it's taking and I'm really committed to the 𝒂𝒂, I don't want to put it in a position where it will give me less options. So I don't want to always I don't want to totally commit to one kind of technique in this kind of way. So get the sense as you go there. And then just feel that you can also change it. So I'm free in that case to roll through it, maybe take a 𝒖𝒂𝒄𝒂, roll through it, maybe take a 𝒂𝒂. But all these gives me, these kind of 𝒂𝒂 work, spiral work, gives me options. As soon as I do that, it really limits my options. So just play a little bit with it, coming in. And just feel that that arm's quite free. And just play around with it a little bit now. That's it. Right, okay, just take a BOKKEN. So we'll use the BOKKEN now just as a kind of guide. Okay, so you've got just a few moments, just get used to the weight of the sword now. Just raising it up, and you're just going to be very, very light, just that. Just feel what naturally is going to happen with the body as you raise the sword up. So be really relaxed. I put no effort into it whatsoever, so no strength, no power in the shoulders. And I'm just going to raise the sword up. You can go really slow. Raise the sword up. You want to do it with no effort, or as little as possible. And just feel what needs to happen in the body to do that. Yeah. And when you get to the top, you want to be really underneath the sword. So I don't want to be kind of clinging on top of it somewhere here. Just play with it. That's it. Right. Good. And then just slowly start to kind of come in through rotation. So just bringing the feet in here, really getting underneath it. So rolling the body in. Just kind of work what I want to do is just work your way into this last move we did. So just rolling down, coming down. Just feel totally free, break it down, do it as one thing. Just notice how the body's going to relate to the object. I've got a really clear representation of the arm. That's it. That's it. Okay, so the first thing you probably know, even though the weight of the sword's very, very light, this sword's super light. Oh, hello. When you do it, just watch for now. What there's a tendency to happen is like if the arms come out, there's the kind of body starts to counterbalance out, and then it'll create kind of stiffness in the body, in the lower back, and then that stiffness will lessen my mobility in the hip. So as soon as I go into stiffness or clinging with the body, the toes, the hip really starts to kind of panic. So just get the sense that just play a little bit with not extending so far, just kind of extending here. Yeah, and get the difference between extension and pushing the sword out or stretching out. So just know the difference between like that, the joint using like that, and the joint using like that. One gives me real flexibility and mobility, and the other just pushes me out of the ground. So just play with it a little bit, but just get this idea you're actually just rolling with the hands. And again, it's much more about this connection between the hand and the hip. The moment I feel that's gone, the body's going to really struggle to remain in the ground. There we go. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, great. Okay, great. So because we've got the BOKKEN, we can focus on the grip. So what I want to do is just be very light in the hand, very loose. And then as you come in, you've got this motion. So the hands kind of come online with this kind of koku work this way. And then at the point when you come in, you're going to make contact and then find the grip. Okay. So these kind of 3 points, you've got very light, hands really coming on with the hips. And at the point when I make the impact, with the body, you're going to take the grip. So it's kind of 3 points, very light, neutral, switched on, working with the koku, and then the impact and the grab. Just work your way into it. And you can also really exaggerate it and make it a kind of impact percussion. This. 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 So just make sure each time come back to a kind of neutral position. What I don't want to do is get like every time going to be really aggressive. Be very neutral at the beginning, and then go, and then find the impact. And try both sides too. In that. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's great. Great. Okay, I'll do one form, which is the 𝒊𝒔𝒐𝒏 form. So in this case, you've got 1 foot forward, again, neutral. In this case, the BOKKEN just in the back hand. So it's in the back hip, somewhere around here. Again, quite light, quite neutral. And then the first movement, you're going to just slide in, pressing from the back foot, and then coming up to the top of the head. Okay, and you're going to use the sword just as a kind of guide. So again, the sword kind of comes on with the koku, where they work together. And then this comes to the head. So you've got now neutral. And then as you go, it goes right to the top of the head. This is going to go really straight. Neutral, relax, ground, and then go straight in. And give it a try. Yeah. And don't think yet about going to the Aikido. So don't start to think about drawing the arm out in this position. Yeah. So in this case, really just think about the person's in front. They're not really guarded. They've got a kind of pause in the posture. Maybe there's a gap. And what I'm trying to do is really get to the head. So I'm really trying to just go to the head this way. So there's no thought in my mind that I'm going to catch them in an Aikido. It doesn't cross my mind. I'm just trying to get towards the head and the center of the body. So what you're going to do is really get this, and then the feeling's really just here into the body, straight in. And it's not a clashy movement because I'm really wedging the body in. Wedging the body in this way. Wedging the body in. So just get this kind of feeling. You're really just entering the body. Entering the body. And this is the feeling of sword work. Just wedging the body straight in, right down to the center. That's it. That's it, that's it, that's it. All the way through. There we go. That's it. That's it, that's it, that's it. Okay, good. So you've got to feel now when you go in, if that movement's strong and it takes them by surprise and they're not really expecting it, they'll protect and they'll go into this kind of position. Because the body's going to try and move first, and then the hand's also going to try and come to protect it. They might be a little bit stupid and come into it like this, in which case you just take it over, you just follow it. So in this case, what you're going in the ideal situation is the person gets drawn back and then tries to protect their head like this. So now rather than just coming straight through, what you do is you take the arm and you draw it out this way. So this is where the Aikido comes in. So you get now this position, this, and as that comes in, you roll now the body out with it. So I join the whole body, the arm's coming out this way, and what I do is roll the whole body with it. So you're gonna have this, and then this rolls out with it. And the key part is this hip and this hand. This. It just gets to the point where the body's open, so this, or where the hand's open. You're just coming into that kind of position. And again, try both sides. Roll in, roll to the side. Roll in, roll to the side. Nice, good work. Good, strong hips as you do it. Yeah. There we go. Nice. That's it. Got it. Great. And then just finding the grip. So you go in, roll it out, and at this point you're going to seal the grip on the hand. So you've got that. This does a real kind of 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒖𝒊𝒆𝒄 this with the hip, and then taking the grip. And then from here, just apply the hip in this way, this way, this way, and then you can take the last step in. You like just finding the grip and then finding the hip. So you roll in, out. Find the grip, really fix the connection, and then drop the hips in, shift in, find it. It's a really direct kind of Aikido. So this, and then hip, and then shifting in with it. There we go.
Michael, please can you show your back feet? Your foot, your back foot. Yes.
From here, you do that, slide in. That, in this position, I adjust it, but in this case, keep it down. This way. And then from here, slide it in. This way. You do it. So, I'll show from this side. This. You can see the back foot. No.
Yeah.
What? That, and then from here, this is down in, and then that.
Yeah.
From here, in. That way. So it's really like, it's kind of a really applied sword cut. So you've got that, or that, that. It goes boom, straight in. In this case, I don't want to be in this kind of position. Yeah, this is really awkward. So that, drop it down, and shift the hip in.
Yeah, yeah.
That way. Yeah.
Thanks, Michael.
Should have tried. That's it, Nick. Yeah, exactly. Great. That's it. Wow. This is a tricky one. It really comes out a bit more in the Kin-no-Nagari, but just watch this. This is where the Kin-no-Nagari is really, or the flowing states are really designed on an efficiency of movement. Because if I've not got the efficiency, the body will go all over the place when I do this kind of move. So if I'm doing the Ikkyo a little bit like this, and then if I try and make that into a kind of Kin-no-Nagari, as soon as I go, oh, it's going to really screw the body up as I go, and you'll be really off balance as you do it. But just as you do this movement, try not to make this into a kind of twisting movement. So it's not really a kind of twisting movement like this. It's much more a feeling like the sword work, hips down. So it's much more, if you're to make this into a movement with the sword, it's really just like this kind of cut through. So you're really doing something there. Yeah. So the hips really just hinging this way. But the hips, the upper body in this case isn't kind of rotating out. This will I'll lose my extension with it. And I will also split away from the person. And then I end up kind of pulling them away. And they will just spin out of it and elbow you in the back of the head, because they will just go into this kind of position. Because if they're following it, they'll just follow that twist. So what I don't do is give them a twist. I want to drop them into the ground. So I want them to experience this and then boom, down through the ground, into the ground. But I don't want them to experience that and then a twist through the arm. Because they're just gonna follow it as you come, as they go through it. But just play with it. Yeah, I swear it's really like sword work. You're just dropping the hip in, dropping the hip in. And it doesn't look really like sword work, but the body work is really built off it. That's it. Yeah. And if you're really used to it, try a few fast as well. Or try a few in Kin-no-Nagari, kind of just flowing through it. Feel. That's it. Nice. Good. Okay, we'll just play with one in a kind of Kin-no-Nagari form. So the easiest one I find is this one. You go out to the side, you've got this kind of position, and then you roll back, take the hand, and then you can choose in this case, you can do the omote, so rolling out. This is the same as what we've just done, roll out to this position, press through, find the step. Or you can roll back, and then change the foot and roll to the rear, go into the Ura form. So you can play with these two. The key thing that's different now that we've not done is this roll back. You've just got to feel like as you go in, roll back, and then I'm going to catch this in a spiral. Let me go. So this is now much more rounded. So you've got this, this. And this is naturally going to go into a kind of Kin-no-Nagari form. So this is not really a technique possible for static. So in this case, feel that it's going to flow through, step through. And try both sides as well. Roll back, pull in. And start with a kind of lightness in the movement. I've got to kind of shift the gear. It's got to be a much more fluid feeling now. There we go. Okay, also just watch this. It's a bit of a point for interaction work, but just watch that you don't do things like this. There you go. This is okay if I'm really training kata form. You can get away with really anything, but I still want to make it as efficient as possible. So again, if I'm going like the long way around to take the grab, just think about all that's going to really open the body out. So feel that movement's actually very efficient. So I'm going for the grip. There. I don't want to do something like, this is a long way around. Also, what I want to feel is this hand's very useful for me. So I might not go for the grab. I might go for a strike and then go for the hand. I might go for the arm. But all the time that arm is working in this kind of area. But it's not going to come out in this kind of area. So this is just opening me out and it gives me less options. So just feel that what you're doing is something more efficient. There. And also the whole body's working. The whole body basically always works on this kind of line. And we use the hips to press out, but I'm never really working in this domain of the body. It's very rare that you're working in this kind of area. So just feel that you're a little bit tighter, a little bit more contained. And the flexibility, again, the mobility is going to come from the hip. There. So just make it really casual as well. You can make it very small. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Great, good. Right. Okay, last few minutes, we'll just go into the sword. So just cutting with the sword here. Just finding the first suburi. Coming down. Coming down. Coming down. So you've got these big circular movements we've just been doing. Also with the feet, with the hips, with the hands. You've got really something now really contained. keep that keep all that mobility, that big sense of weight, engaging the whole body in towards one point. Much simpler movement now. Nice. And just going a little bit into Zengo. Keep this feeling really of elasticity through the body. So what I don't want to do is now go into kind of really kind of stiff movement. So keep that really sense of elastic quality. Elastic, even though it's a very simple movement, very basic, always the body has that kind of quality. And I just want to be consciously training it. The tendency with weapon work is to go into stiff movement. So yeah, let's get a feeling of something a bit more heavy. You're just really focusing on the body work. The weapon's just a tool. We play with one combination to finish, and it's just this: you're going to slice out here, and then you're going to slide in, step in with the yokomo. So you've got two options. In this case, you've got two options. You can slice out here, step through, or you can slice out and then roll through to the back this way. So just really choose an angle with it. You've got two angles. You can slice with it. You can also take this slice in other directions, but the easiest one is just to the side. And then just choose where you want to go. You can go here, 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 round to the back. Just follow it with the body and hit it with the whole body. Choose the direction and then just hit it. Bang. Push. Boom. And the last 30 seconds, just do from no position. So just take the sword into the body, nice and neutral. Just move around the space. Yeah, and then just when you feel like it, into the slice. Go into the cut. Break the floor. Move around. Be quite stable, nice and balanced, nice and calm, and then just straight into the movement. And release it. It doesn't have to be fast. Just make it one thing. Great. Okay, we'll stop there. So just something you can play with in terms of using ikkyo and using the sword for playing with ikkyo, playing around with ikkyo. So. Okay. よし。どうもありがとうございました。どうもありがとうございました。Great. Thank you. Good.